Hey, what's going on? I'm Brandon Bain.
Hey folks, I'm Dan Foulds, and this is Rubbin' and Grubbin' for March 4th, 2020. Hey, listen, for those in a hurry, here is a pit stop fast NASCAR update. Alex Bowman dominated the 400-mile race in Fontana, California. It was his second Cup Series win ever, which proves that the first one wasn't a fluke. And it took place about 20 miles away from where, as a child, he raced quarter midget cars. So that was kind of an enjoyable moment for him, and it was fun for us to watch it.
Cool moment.
So Alex drives the number 88 car, and he occupies the seat that used to belong to Dale Earnhardt Jr. And believe it or not, in 1978, the year that I joined the military, that seat was occupied by a guy named Darrell Waltrip. So next Sunday, the action moves to Phoenix for a 500-mile event. It'll be on here at Coach's Corner at 3:30. The contest.
Oh, yeah. All right, so every Sunday there's a contest up here at Coach's. Come, draw a driver. Prizes are going to be given away with that winning driver. So you guys come out, show support. It's going to be an awesome time.
And it doesn't cost a penny to enter.
It doesn't cost a penny.
You just got to be here at the end of the race. It's actually a lot of fun. So, Big, who's going to win at Phoenix?
Oh, if I had to pick one car right now off the top of my head that's going to win, it's going to be Kevin Harvick. Had great success there, dominated in the last 10 years there. Past couple years, few races, but I think it's time for him to show up.
Awesome. Okay, so that's our NASCAR News pit stop update. And if that's all you got time for, hey, thanks for checking us out. Now, let's get into the show. Brandon, what are we doing?
Oh, we're doing Rubbin' and Grubbin', man. Brought to you live from Coach's Corner every Wednesday at 5:30.
All right, so let's unpack that race at Fontana. What happened?
Oh man, that was a very exciting race, Dan. It was, restarts meant a lot, tires meant a lot, clean air meant everything. As you saw, Bowman dominated that first segment.
Yes.
Came back through. Ryan Blaney dominated the second one. Lost some track position there, man, and never could get it back. Bowman set sail.
Awesome, awesome. So we're going to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly of that race. So one thing that I really liked, because I'm an old retired soldier and I kind of like pageantry and spectacle, I loved the 5-wide show they did at the beginning of the race.
For Jimmy,
I thought that was spectacular. Those cars looked beautiful. In formation, going down that track, and then here came Jimmy Johnson right up the left side, and they put him right around in front.
Yeah, it was really neat, man.
He probably would have wished he could have won, but
yeah, he had a very good run, man. He ran good, so not bad, man. I mean, it's all about consistency in this sport.
So one thing I like about NASCAR is unapologetically American. Nobody takes a knee at a NASCAR track. You know, when they sing the national anthem, and by the way, that little girl singing the national anthem.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. My wife, we were watching it at work, and I told her, I said, look at that little girl singing, man. It was
eight years old,
pretty
right?
Cool, man. Yeah, it was cool.
She nailed it. So I just love that. I mean, I love it when people are proud to be American, and I love it when people just relish and glory in the experience of living in the greatest country on the planet Earth. So that was great. The bad. So there was some inspections that got failed. So Big, why do we have inspections?
Well, you have inspections to make sure NASCAR pretty much sets the templates, man. They set the rules saying your car's got to be within this so far, and if it's outside, it's not passable. And Truex obviously failed 3 times, so he'll be penalized for that, whether, I don't remember if it's going to be practice time or what it is. Pretty sure it's practice time. These guys are trying to get every inch, every thousandth of an inch, everything out of this car that they can possibly get and squeak by, because that, 10,000th of an inch could be 1/10,000th of a horsepower, which might just be enough, or aero, less drag, or, it could be just enough to get you what you need to be better than everybody else on that track. So
is it fair to say they're looking for an unfair advantage?
I'm not going to say an unfair advantage, because everybody in that garage, trust me, today's rules are a lot different than what it used to be. There would be things that were made to be obvious that people would catch, and things that weren't obvious that they would miss. Nowadays, it's pretty much laser templates, the technology that goes through as far as these cars passing. you're not getting away with much. You're going to gain that in your R&D department back at the shop. You're going to gain that with your engineers. You're going to gain that with smarts, not
if you ain't cheating,
fooling around.
If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying.
Yeah, I guess you can say that, man. Everybody's going to give it a whirl a time or two. So.
All right. Okay. So I mentioned last week about this kid that's this young man that's making videos. His name on YouTube is Slap Shoes, and as it turns out, he just makes great videos. I love him. And he did one about Martin Truex. And in that discussion, I came to learn that Truex has been driving for 17 years. He's driving now for Joe Gibbs in the 19 car. His dad was a racer. His dad used to run a 56 car in it was before Busch Series. I forget what they called it, but they had a name for it. The early not lower class racing, but as the Xfinity is today, what do we call that?
Yeah, it was the Busch Series or maybe the Grand National.
Grand National.
Yeah.
His dad raced in the Grand. Thank you. That's why
Yes, sir.
Big's here. Keep me straight.
No problem, man.
Yeah, he was a Grand National guy. So Truex really struggled, and he went from team to team to team and didn't really kick it. And then a significant thing happened to him. His girlfriend that he's had, Sherry Pollock, since 2005, she came up and got cancer. And cancer almost killed that girl.
Yeah.
And that dude did not shrink from that challenge, nor did she. And he was at her side every single step of the way. And she fought like hell. And I'm going to need the swear bucket in a minute. She fought like hell, and she beat that cancer. And when she came out on the far end of that, I think according to Slap Shoes, what happened was Truex said, well, if she can fight and win, by God, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to start fighting and winning too. What do you think?
I think timing was right. Obviously, nobody ever wants to see a loved one or a family member or anybody have to go through that, disease or sickness. Things fell into place for him, man. He got a ride there with the Furniture Row, who affiliated with Gibbs. And man, it really started turning around for him. Did a lot of good in that car. Obviously, Edwards retired kind of out of the blue.
Right.
He kind of fell right in there, man, and got in really good equipment, and is now, in the later part of his career, starting to get to showcase the talent that he's had all along. Everybody knew he had talent. It just finally being in the equipment to be able to perform the way you want. A lot of guys don't get rides. A lot of guys,
right.
There's probably a lot of drivers out there who could have been, would have been, should have been.
Right.
But weren't, because they didn't have the equipment. They didn't have the backing.
Like Savannah's very own Delma Cowart, perhaps.
Right, could be, man.
Yeah.
You never know. So.
Yeah. Well, Delma, if you ever see this video, I'm very proud of you, because even though you might not have won a race, you never lost a party. Okay, the good, the bad. How about the ugly? Ryan Blaney pitted with 3 to go. What happened?
Had no choice, man. Obviously, this is what I call taking a page out of Jeff Gordon's book, because Jeff Gordon was one of the best at it ever. Blaney should have known better. Bowman had a lead that was. You're not going to overcome that lead without a caution.
Right.
There's no way he was going to make up that time and those amount of laps on that track without a caution.
Yes.
So instead of pushing your car as hard as it'll go and burning that right rear off, he should have just said, you know what, I have no pressure from behind me. I'm going to ride this today. I'm going to finish second, and we'll go on to next week at Phoenix.
Right.
And instead, the racer in him got the best of him, and he burned the tire off of it, man. And he didn't have a choice. There was no, hey, we're going to ride around for 3 laps. No, it was done. It was time to come in. He wore a tire out, man.
Well, I feel for Ryan Blaney. Okay, so we're going to take a page from, I think it's an ESPN thing that they do this thing, come on, man. Where we're going to say, come on, dude. So our come on, dude, for this week is Kurt Busch misses the pit box. That's something I could do. How did that happen?
It happens, man. Pit road is a very busy place, man. You have 38 to 40 cars trying to make their way on at one time. Signs here, signs there. A lot of signs look similar. Team colors are similar. It's a mistake. Obviously, it's a mental mistake. You practice coming in and out of your pit box during practice, during this, location, signs, this, that. He just made a mistake. As you saw, if you watched the race, he was able to rebound from that. Pretty decent for a decent day. But had that been at the end of that race, man, that would have cost you. I mean, it's it happens. It happens to the best, obviously. So.
Sweet. Thanks, Big. Okay, so let's cover a couple of NASCAR news items.
Yeah.
So first of all, the driver that I don't really like so much, Tony Stewart. As it turns out, Tony Stewart is going to race the road race at Indy on July 4th, I think.
Yeah, it's July. It's in July. It's not July 4th. I'm pretty sure that race is at Daytona. It's in July. He's going to run the Xfinity race. Right. It's going to be a Stewart-hass car. The crew chief or the sponsor hasn't been decided yet, which even if it comes down to running his own brand, it's not a huge deal. But I can tell you it's going to be interesting, man. He is he's a racer. He's a racer. It's not a competitor. He's a racer, man. Yep. He's won in everything he drove, and to have the time off from these big, cars and doing what he enjoys doing and actually loving the part of racing. Yeah. He has nothing to lose, man. He's going to go in there and give it a whirl, and I can guarantee you, he's going to run competitive, man. It's going to be very competitive, very cool to watch. So.
Awesome. Okay, so now we're up to our checkered flag for charity. So what we do is we take the winning car's number, and that number, that amount of dollars, goes into our bucket, and that is for the Ronald McDonald House Charities of the Coastal Empire. Yep. We picked that charity because when folks go into the hospital with a sick child, and then the kids got to stay in the hospital, and this is right here at Memorial Hospital. Kids got to stay in the hospital. Mom and dad have to stay here, and if they had to go out and stay in a motel, that would severely deplete their finances. So this Ronald McDonald House offers a place for families to stay, and they stay there free of charge. That Ronald McDonald House sits right next to Memorial Hospital, place that I worked at, flying a medical helicopter for 4 years. So I think it's a spectacular thing that we're doing. So $88.
Yep.
And that's
20.
Congrats
40,
to Bowman.
60, 80, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Now we did not pick the winner this week, but we said to watch out for Hendrick Chevys, right?
Yeah, definitely got to watch out for those Hendrick Chevys, man. I tell you what, compared from last year in the first few races to where they're at this season, they definitely hit on something in this off season, man. They've got it. The new nose probably helped them a little bit with the aero downforce and different things. You're going to have to watch out for them, man. I'm telling you right now, Chevrolet in general is definitely going to win a lot more races than they did last year, man.
They've come back. By the way, if you would like to match our donation to help us out as we support the Ronald McDonald House, come and watch us do one of these shows, and we'll be happy to take your money from you.
Dollars, pennies, quarters, 10s, 20s, 100s, it doesn't matter, anything.
So fans, thanks for watching and being part of the show. We want to say thanks very much to Lawrence Bennett, who is the producer of this show. And Lawrence is also the guy that takes these videos and puts them on YouTube with extra graphics. You're probably watching us live on Facebook right now. Yeah. So this video does get tightened up.
Yeah. So there is one more thing I do want to mention before we get to anything else. Is next week coming up is going to be a big deal. There's been a bounty put out on Kyle Busch.
That's right.
For almost $100,000 for any full-time Monster Cup or Cup Series driver that can get in a truck race and beat them. The first race they're going to have the opportunity is Atlanta. I'm going to have the privilege of being there and seeing this live in person.
Atlanta man.
Yes, which I cannot wait for. So Chase Elliott's going to drive. Try to beat Kyle Busch, man. The only stipulation of that is you cannot wreck them to win the money. So you're going to have to outrun them. It doesn't have to win the race, doesn't have to do this, just has to finish better than Kyle Busch. And if anybody knows that watches any of the 3 series, Kyle Busch is extremely hard to beat week in and week out. Trucks and Xfinity, it's pretty much almost impossible without a mistake, without a mechanical failure. So it's going to be interesting, man. You got Chase Elliott at Atlanta. If he can't do it, you got Kyle Larson getting in the truck at Miami the following week to do it. Mm-hmm. If it doesn't happen there, Elliott's getting back in at Kansas. And that's just the start of what we know now. So we're going to continue to see who else steps up and wants to give it a whirl, man. I think it's great for the truck series, man. I think it's awesome. Awesome.
Thank you. So John asked me to mention that there are some people hearing this on ESPN Radio. The ESPN Radio folks have asked us about doing something with them, and we would love to do that.
Yeah, definitely would.
What we lack in talent, we make up for with enthusiasm. We have a good time, and we hope that ESPN gig comes to pass.
Yeah, and cold beer. And
cold beer. We want to acknowledge and send our heartfelt thoughts and prayers out to the folks in Nashville who got hit by a tornado or several tornadoes. We're very sorry that happened. We've got you in our hearts. We're hugging you. And, before it's all said and done, I wouldn't be surprised if Coach's Corner has a charity event or series of events for Nashville, because that's what John Henderson does here.
The one thing you can say is, natural disasters, Mother Nature's uncontrollable. And it's sad in a way that today we have to wait for something like that to happen for people to come together. I've heard a lot of things coming out of Nashville this morning, and just the community is coming together and doing what they need to do to help the people that were affected directly.
Right.
It's amazing, man. We need more of that every day, not just on natural disasters. So
# Nashville Strong.
Yep.
So fans, thanks for watching and be a part of the show. Please hit like on this post and share the page. And for gosh sakes, submit your questions about
love them.
What's going on with NASCAR. Why is Brandon sitting next to an old fat guy? Whatever. Follow us on Facebook. Check out the YouTube channel that Lawrence has created. So our cheers segment.
Yeah.
It's cheers to the number 24 car and the 12 car, Byron and Blaney, because they put Kobe Bryant tribute paint schemes on their cars. And that was a darn decent thing to do. I almost slipped up.
Cheers to them.
Cheers. Cheers to them. So Ryan Newman is getting better. Yep. He dropped by the shop last week to thank everyone.
Yep, made an appearance. Looking pretty good. Still no timetable on that return. I'm going to say probably going to be a few more weeks, man, but he's definitely going to be back in that thing before the season's up. It's obviously something you do not want to play with. Head injuries, brain injuries obviously plagues a lot of sports. So this is something that he needs to take his time, make sure he's good, and then when he's good, come on back and be the Rocket.
Awesome. Okay, next, Phoenix. Big. What's going to happen?
Whew, man. Well, I'm hoping some tires are going to fall off is what I'm hoping, man, because the fall race here, they changed, I think, 2 sets the whole race, and tires didn't mean anything.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping Goodyear and NASCAR got together and said, we got to make this a little different. This is one race I will say a strategy gets to play in a little more, obviously, with the stages, which are 75, 75, and then 162.
Okay.
So with the stages, obviously stage 1 and stage 2, we all know when the caution's coming, et cetera, but depending on where you pit, how you pit, when you take tires, it comes into play a little bit more here than it will at some other tracks, I'd like to think. But my biggest thing there again is going to be just restarts, man. And this race is a lot about teamwork. Your car better be where you need it to be. It better handle good. It better turn good.
Yep.
This is a pretty wild track, man. And restarts on this thing after they reconfigured it are nuts. It is absolutely nuts. Guys cut the whole corner. It's crazy, man. So it's going to be interesting to see. I definitely think it's just going to come down to who's in the right position at the right time, like it does every week. But it's definitely going to be competitive.
Spectacular. Okay, so from the viewer mailbag, we got 3 questions. Number 1, Jim Virginia.
Oh,
wait a minute.
Got something coming in.
We're getting something from the producer. Mailbox question number 1. 2-part question. When was the first Cup race at Phoenix and who won it?
All right, so I know this one, and I know this one because of my dad. The first Cup race at Phoenix was in 1988. And the guy that won it didn't have a very long career at all, was cut very short, but it was Alan Kwiecki is who won that race for that first race.
Okay. Number 2, what is better, the stage racing or the old format?
Me personally, growing up, and I've seen my fair share of both styles of this racing, I love the stage races, man. A lot of older guys, a few years older than me, 10, 20 years older than me, don't really care for it. It's kind of, hey, let's let them fall, let the caution fall when it falls.
Yep.
To me, it takes a lot of strategy out of it. The fuel mileage, hey, we're going to take 2 tires and we're going to pit on this lap, and then we're not going to come in. We're going to run a full fuel window. It takes all of that out. Everybody knows when the caution's coming. Everybody knows they're coming in to get fuel and tires. It's just, to me, for the fans, it regroups. It puts everybody back together. It gives those guys another shot at getting out front or getting their car better. I've watched plenty of races in my day where you watch one guy get out front and he's gone and it's over.
Kind of like last Sunday.
For 3 hours, you watch them go round and round and round with no caution, no nothing, just constant green flag. So to me, I like it. Everybody's personal opinion is different, but to me, I love the stage racing.
Okay, and then finally, will NASCAR ever be as big again as it was in the 90s and the early 2000s?
Ooh, man, I tell you what, with support of people who actually care about the sport, yes, it could be. This is the youngest group of talent you have ever seen in NASCAR, period, in the whole history. You will never name another time that has had more young guys, young talent, than what we have right now. These kids are out to race. They are here, big sponsors. They carry themselves well. The racing is good if you watch it. It is very good. What I will say is it ever going to go back to old school, run what you brung, cheat here, cheat there, do this, do that? No, those days have passed. Just like in football, football's not the same. Baseball's not the same. Golf's not the same. Any sport has evolved, and that's exactly what NASCAR has done. It's evolved. So either you love it or you don't. You support it or you don't.
Well, they don't kill people as much as they used to.
Well, I mean, it's people. Everybody wants to see the the Earnhardt wrecking guys, and it still happens, man. Kyle Busch is today's Earnhardt. Honestly, if you want to talk about it, it's today's Earnhardt. A lot of people might get upset about that. He's not probably ever going to win 7 championships.
Right.
Those days of seeing 7, I think, ended with Jimmy Johnson. Am I saying it could never happen? No, but the wins and his competitive nature and the way he carries himself, it's reminiscent of Earnhardt, man. He doesn't like to finish second. Second's the first loser to him, man, and it's just what it is. But I think with some fan support and more interest from the youth, getting the kids involved in it and getting the kids watching the sport young, early, yeah, man, I think it could definitely reach that again.
One thing I've noticed, because I've been spending a lot of time looking at YouTube videos, there's historic videos about NASCAR races. I watched the 1978 Darlington race today because that's the year I went in the service. And there is a tremendous amount of material on YouTube about NASCAR. I mentioned slap shoes. I mean, there's a ton of stuff. There's a ton of people that are creating content about NASCAR.
Another thing I will say about it, returning to what it once was, is going to be NASCAR's involvement for the fans, man. I remember being a kid at Atlanta and being on the infield when it was Winston Cup, and you had a No Bull tent. It was a concert Friday night and Saturday night. I mean, they had a simulator, they had stuff to do, they had a live band out there. They're kind of tapping into it with these concerts, but as far as like going out of the track and these things that people that can't get in, just the surrounds of the track, we got to get them back involved, man. NASCAR's got to step their game up, promote a little harder, get some good stuff going on the outside of the track for not only adults but kids, and cut it loose, man. Let's get the fans way re-involved in what it was, man. Yeah.
We want to get you involved too. As you know, Big mentioned that we've got this free contest here. We have a good time here on Sunday, so come down and join us. Because when you come here and watch the race, not only do you get to see great racing, you also get to enjoy great grub. And the name of this show is Rubbin' and Grubbin'. So let's talk about a great grubbing option at Coach's this week. It's the Stromboli.
Got the Stromboli, man.
Now this Stromboli, this is a Coach's creation, and it is spectacular. It's not a calzone, and I had to get educated on this today. Calzones are folded. This is rolled. This thing is chock full of deliciousness. It's got sausage. It's got pepperoni. It's got green peppers. It's got onions. It's got cheese. I mean, one of these is dinner for like you and your girl and a kid.
This is definitely one of the hidden gems here at Coach's, man. Between the stromboli, the calzones, and the pizza, man, I'm telling you, you cannot miss out on this, man. This is some good
Of course,
grub,
it would look a lot better if lovely Caitlin was holding it, but thank you, Caitlin. So that's our pick for the week. And as a matter of fact, when we say goodbye to you tonight, we're going to all be sitting here. We're going to have red sauce all over our face. These things are spectacular.
Yep.
Hey, let me remind you that the upcoming show this week in the Soundgarden is Departure. This is a Journey cover band, and they are spectacular. People love that band.
I've seen them. I think me and my wife have seen them 3 or 4 times, man. It's a great show. Kid-friendly, awesome show. Make sure you guys come out, show support. Awesome, man, awesome.
Spectacular. Well, fans, that's been our show for the week. We hope you've enjoyed it. I want to say again, thanks to you for participating in this. Thanks for coming to Coach's, making Coach's successful as it has been for 27, 28 years.
Yeah,
I mean, it's an
awesome place, man.
Coach's is a fixture and a
Staple,
pillar
man.
of this place.
Yeah.
Be sure and hit like and share and join us next week as we tape the show. And next week, be sure and come back for Atlanta Man.
We got Atlanta Man next week, and before we get out of here, I'm going to give you a quick little Power 5 for the week at Phoenix, man. These are 5 guys you're going to have to know this week. These are the 5 guys that we're going to say are going to be up front. We're going to say we'll go Kevin Harvick, Kyle Busch, Ryan Blaney.
Yep.
Let's throw that 88 out there again, and let's go old 7-time himself, Jimmy Johnson, to round out the top 5. Maybe a slipper in there for a 6th little pick would probably be Chase Elliott. But those are 6 guys, 5 guys definitely, 6 guys you're going to have to watch out for. And there again, like I said, the Hendrick Chevrolets, man. So thanks for joining us tonight. Thanks for the show. You guys have a great evening. See you next week.
I'm Dan Foulds.
And I'm Brandon Bain.
Good night.